us for the Small Business Boot Camp. Oh, and I got a little note here. I just saw this on I got a typo on my slide. It's not the workshop, it is our regular webinar. But thank you for joining us. I'm Robert Theobald, Small Business Ombudsman and Vice President of Small Business Services. And we're glad to have you with us today. We got a great new presentation we're excited about. As we always like to do, we like to start by first thanking many of our community partners. We could not do these boot camp sessions without our community partners, their time, their effort, and their expertise. For those not familiar, the Small Business Boot Camp is designed to help small businesses prepare, plan, and grow and move forward. And it is a statewide initiative supported by all of our community partners. We've been doing the boot camps for over 2 years, or almost 2 years. And with that, we record all of our sessions, and that has created a content library. And I'll dive a little deeper into that here in a second. In addition to our Tuesday morning webinars that we do each week, we also have a workshop series with many of our community partners. And I joked about that first slide saying workshop because last Thursday we did a workshop with the Department of Revenue, the Arizona Department of Revenue on TPT, on transaction privilege tax, and that recording is available in our content library. So talking about our content library, as I mentioned, we record all of our sessions and we post those in our content library. So we have a collection of over 200 webinars from experts that are recorded, presentations are recorded, and the materials from those presenters are also shared in that content library. You can sort by different business topics, or you can just look through all of them, but they are available to you anytime at no cost. They're right there on our basic bootcamp webpage. You see the link there at the bottom. We'll also post the link in the chat. But it's the same page you went to find today's sessions to register as well. So the content library is an awesome resource available to you. And again, we have that workshop from last week is available in the content library as well. I'd also like to mention some of the other programs that help support small businesses that the Arizona Commerce Authority has. We have our small business services, our workforce, and our Arizona MEP, our manufacturing extension partnership. On top of those three programs, one of our key items that we have is our small business checklist. And this is an online interactive tool to help entrepreneurs identify the commonly requested licensing, registration, and compliance needs at the local, state, and federal level. It's a great tool for those looking to start their business and know what areas they need to get information in or register or get licenses, as well as those looking to expand or grow their business into other communities or other product lines. With that, we want to look at some business updates, we call them, and we're going to post links to all these different things in the chat. So I'm not going to go into big detail, but the SBA extended the EIDL deferment period. And EIDL is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. And so with that program, they had a deferral period during COVID, and they have extended that a little bit longer before your loan payments kick in. Also, the Maricopa County Small Business Resilience Program originally was going to end at the end of March, but it has been extended, and we're going to post some information on that. But it is a great program that includes a grant, a 1% interest loan, as well as technical assistance. Then the U.S. Chamber of Commerce has their Dream Big Awards, and the application process for those is open. So if you want to nominate your business, you can do that. And then the SBA has made some changes with their Community Advantage Loan Program for small businesses. And so we're going to post a press release on that as well in the chat. With that, I want to jump into looking at the Digital Academy. We have this coming up. The applications were supposed to close yesterday, but if you're interested in this, they may still be open right now, or you can message us directly today. But that application period is closing up, but we want to make sure everybody gets the information, has the opportunity to be part of this program. It is a 6-week program designed to help build your online presence or develop your online presence and build your digital capacity. It's kind of a business digital 101 entry level to get you enough knowledge to know that you can either do it yourself, or if you may need to hire somebody to help you with some of this stuff. And I'm sure our presenter is going to talk a little bit about that topic today when it comes to marketing. But again, this is a great program. The applications, if it's not open on the website, please feel free to reach out to us directly and we can get you that information through today. And then at the end of today, it will be closed up. And then looking at some upcoming sessions, we have our Marketing to the Right Customer next week with Monique James. Monique has been with us before. We're excited to have her back. Then we have How to Build and Monitor Your Business Credit Score. And then we've got another presentation on videos with Financial Potion. Taylor Wellman is back with us. She's been with us multiple times before. And it's how to produce quality marketing videos. She does a phenomenal job. So if videos have piqued your interest and you're not sure whether you should do them or not, join us for that and you can learn a little bit about that piece. So with that, we're going to jump into today's session. We've got a brand new speaker with us today, Brandy Lawson. She's the owner of FieryFx, and she is an expert in her field, and so we're excited to have her with us. So Brandy, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing and let you take over.
Well, thank you, Robert, and welcome everyone. I'm going to share my screen here, and we will jump right in. Just a quick housekeeping here. If you've got questions, please use the Q&A feature so that we can note your questions, that we don't lose your questions, and so that we can make sure everyone gets their questions answered, which is really important to me. And there will be a couple polls. In fact, as I move to my title slide here, we've got a poll to start out. I'm just going to take the temperature of the room here and find out how everybody feels about their marketing. Oh, looks like my emojis didn't come through. Oh, sad panda. Okay, so maybe are we going to skip the poll for that? The other thing we can do if we need to punt here is type a good, meh, bad, sad. Like, how do you feel about marketing your business right now? I'm just kind of interested in how you're feeling. So if you want to pop that in the chat, since my emojis didn't come through the poll, how are you feeling? Good? Like, you're rocking it? It's, it could be better. Kind of not so good. Oh, thank you, Kent. Matt, there is an emoji. I love emojis. Matt. Oh, all right. Okay. So nobody's feeling super confident. Thank you, Sarah and Amy for popping in. Anybody else want to share how they're feeling? It's okay if it's not so good. And also okay if you're feeling pretty confident, but you came here for some tune-up stuff. All right. Well, you'll have to pop in the chat if you got other temperatures here, but could be better. All right. Good. Oh, Sarah, excellent. I love that you got a big smiley face there. So I wanted to just kind of take the temperature of the room, and so that we make sure we kind of cover all things, because Miriam, yep, yeah, sort of just man. Here's the thing, is that we can feel differently about marketing in different times in our business. Sometimes it's rocking, and then market forces change, or things in our business change, and then things fall off. So today we're going to talk about the foundations of marketing. The idea here is that we want you to be able to confidently market your business and make effective decisions with ease, because it's not a set it and forget it, as most of us know, right? So what are we learning today? We want you to walk away from this presentation understanding the marketing and the role it plays in your business, and then getting familiar with how to market framework, which is just essentially me trying to synthesize all of the complexity into something that's easier to hang on to, defining what marketing means in your business, because I think this is also a spot where we can get, the water can get real muddy. And then sketching out your marketing strategy, just a real high level sketch on your marketing strategy. So here's the things we're going to talk about. We're going to learn just a little bit about me, because before I start giving you information, you probably want to know why I'm qualified. We'll talk about some core concepts. These do have to do with marketing, but more than that, they have to do with, I think, running a business in general. Then we'll talk about what is marketing, because I think this also gets really nebulous. Speak about how to market, what strategy is, planning, implementation, and evaluation. So that's where we're going. About me. These are our core values. I didn't realize early in my business that these would be so important, but when it came to being able to make decisions about my business, about our team, and yes, even about marketing, it was really critical that I had these written down, and also that then people could make a better evaluation of if they want to work with us. So our first core value is give a damn, because sometimes that's missing in doing business with other people. Figuring out and getting stuff done. We like problem solving, and we don't let challenges get in our way. Judgment-free zone. This is another place where sometimes we won't ask the questions that we need to ask, or look for the resources we need, because we're afraid of what somebody might think. So judgment-free zone, which also means I welcome any and all questions. Please ask your questions, put them in our Q&A so you can walk away from here with questions answered. Velvet Hammer, that is one of my friends gave me this name. It's direct and honest communication with grace. And brave the storm. Boats were not meant to stay in the harbor. We take it out, and we take on the big challenges. So these two lovely people were my first employers. They're my parents. They opened a restaurant the year I was born. Not until I became a mother and a business owner in the same year did I think, what were you thinking? But they are my inspiration, and why I'm so passionate about business and marketing, because they ran that restaurant for 13 years and then they lost that restaurant. But it is a success story because they rebuilt again and did end up with a successful business. But that's the story of all of us. The first thing we do isn't always the thing that is the success. It builds the foundations of what comes next. So me, these are my credentials. Also my biases. It's really good, I think, to understand the background of the person you're getting information from, so that you can know if you want to trust them and listen to what they have to say, but also so that you know where they're coming from and you can critically evaluate the information they're giving you. So I've got a marketing BA and an MBA from ASU. I worked for 15 minutes. It didn't feel like 15 minutes. 15 years in the corporate marketing and product development world. And I've been doing marketing for my business and many, many, many others for the last 10 years, owning my own company. I consume a lot of information, and I've tried to attribute the sources for things, but there's definitely things in here that I've picked up and made my own that have come from other places. So it's just my little disclaimer that not everything in here is my original thought. All right, so now we've laid the foundations and the basis. Let's get into core concepts. As I said, these are foundational concepts for our work together. And I really think kind of for doing business in general. And I'd like to cover these before we get into the real academia of what we're talking about, because we're all human, and humans running businesses have emotions. We have all the feelings, and we have all the things that can trap us or free us. So these are some core concepts I want you to keep in mind as we go through this today. First thing is, there is no shoulding on yourself. Should you do this? Should you do that? I really should blog. Well, shouldn't I be on TikTok? About the time that you hear this word, should, come into your vocabulary around marketing, I want you to pay close attention. It's usually not very useful. When we are using this idea of taking on someone else's expectations of us, that does not leave us in a great place to make the right decisions for our businesses and what we want. So no shoulding, no, none of it. The next concept is the concept of minimum viable. Is anyone here familiar with minimum viable? Is this something anybody's heard of before? You can drop it in the chat. Is this new? New, okay, thanks, Ken. Okay, so the idea, when I worked in product development, we always could come up with like we wanted to do all the things, but the reality is we don't know if it's going to work until we actually release something. So the idea of minimum viable is to start with something like the skateboard. Like we could be wanting to build a car, but if we start with a skateboard, it still meets the minimum viable of what we want to do. We need a way to get someplace in a more expedient manner, and we want it, to have wheels. So minimum viable is that we start with the most simple version, and it doesn't have all the features, and it's not gonna, be the end result. But if we start with something simple and we get it out there and we try it, we will learn what we need to know to make the next version, So we can go from skateboard to scooter to bicycle to motorcycle to car. We don't need to start complicated. And this, I think, is really important in marketing because there's so many things changing so quickly. So if you're like, we're going to do TikTok, and you're like trying to have fully produced videos and like doing the whole thing, like it's a lot of investment on something you don't know if it's going to work. But if you start off with something very simple, okay, we're going to post once a week. These are the topics we're going to post about. We're going to try these 3 formats. We try these 3 formats and we get some information back, and then we can iterate and keep going. So minimum viable is the whole concept. We might start with this idea of it's going to be this big thing. And then we go, okay, well, how do we begin? Like, what does the first version of this look like that is as simple as possible so that we can do it, actually get it out in the world, and then be able to iterate with information. Minimum viable. Next, this one seems pretty basic, but I think especially if we get into the shoulding on ourselves, we sometimes lose track of this one, which is just real curiosity. So I'm just going to pick on the TikTok strategy for a second. If you decide that that's where your people are and you need to do this, being curious, not, well, why did they get that to work? And why doesn't that work for me? But rather, this is interesting. I wonder if this will work. Oh, it did or it didn't. Just general, real, genuine curiosity about it, which sometimes can be hard if we've got real expectations on it, like, oh, this has to work or we're going out of business. So coming with the spirit of curiosity and looking for what questions we want to ask to learn more. And then finally, the Edison mentality. This is the idea that we're going to try a lot of things and a lot of them won't work. I really like the results. I've gotten a lot of results. I know what doesn't work and what won't have to be tried again. And failing intelligently. One fails forward towards success. There really aren't any failures. There's only information. So we learn every time we try. But understanding that this is just an experiment, it's not personal. Relieving the pressure can help us see what needs to be changed more quickly. Whereas if we're really attached to it and we can't view it as an experiment, then we sometimes will keep doing things that aren't actually working because we're so tied to their outcome. So the Edison mentality, we're going to try a lot of things and we're going to learn from every one of them. And they may not all be successes, right? We're not going to hit the right filament for the light bulb the first time out. All right, so now that we have our foundations, let's talk about what is marketing. So we've got a poll here about marketing. Take a second and see if this poll doesn't have emojis. So woo-woo. What's your biggest obstacle to better marketing? So if you could just take a second and pop your answer in there. I feel like we need Jeopardy music or something at this point. Do, 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 do. All right, everybody get a chance to pop their answer in the poll. Excellent. All right. Woo-woo. Okay. Time. Yep, that one is the thing. Kind of coming in, I don't know, resources, knowledge, and the right people are right in the they're tied for a second almost with knowledge just ahead. All right, and then other. Okay. Thank you. This is helpful. So we'll come back to kind of looping this into time. knowledge, I think we can help you for sure today. So the first thing I want you to think about is, what do you think marketing is? And I've got a couple ways that we can kind of wrap our brain around this. The first thing is, I'd like you to think of a commercial that annoys you, or a service you would never buy, or something you'd like, why does this even exist on the planet? Can you think of anything? If you can think of something that's like you're just annoyed by this commercial, you don't understand the reason for this product, pop it in the chat. Is there something that you're like, what is this thing? Why does it even exist? Anybody? Car sale dealership commercials. Nice, Nicole. I like it. Annoyed by that. Nice. Oh, insurance company. Sham wow. Oh, I love that answer. Liberty insurance ads. Nice. The SeatGeek commercials. Ah, good. Yes. Oh, I'm very disturbed by just the visual of, yeah, a part of the body that's talking that should not be talking. The email commercial. Oh, we got a couple Liberty lawyers, medical pharmacy commercials. Yes. Okay, good. These are great. So what's always interesting, I do this little experiment with myself, is about the time that I'm super annoyed or just don't understand the existence of this product, I put on my my marketing geek hat and I go, oh, is this product actually for me? And most of the time, if I'm annoyed by the commercial, I don't understand it. There's a lot of things. My son's 9. There's a lot of things aimed at kids his age that I just don't understand. I'm like, oh, I'm not the market. The reason that I'm annoyed, that I don't get it, or like there's places I don't shop, is because I'm not the market. They're not actually they don't need me, or I'm not the one that's going to buy this thing. I'm like, oh, okay. Very interesting. So I also tease my parents because about the time they're annoyed with something, I'll go, oh, so you're not the market for that. All right. So next, I want you to think of something that you absolutely love. Like you can't imagine your life without it. You're excited to use this product or service. You're an advocate for this product or service. Like I'll go first. Dream dinners is something that I don't understand how anyone else lives without. It's a made for you meal service. It's not like HelloFresh, it doesn't come in the mail. Also, I don't have to do a bunch of work. So I'm talking, think of the things that you love, like are there products or services that you can't live without? Drop that in the chat. Dream dinners. It is amazing for me. And I don't understand how anyone else who's trying to run a business or have a full-time job and have children solves the dinner problem, because I have dream dinners and I'm a huge advocate. Oh, Amazon, Expedia, nice. Google Calendar, matcha, matcha, I like it. Excellent. So these are examples of things that we are the market for. They are custom made for our needs. They're products that then show up for us and meet needs that we have. They solve problems that we have. So marketing is really matching those things up. So let's define this for ourselves. We'll first go to the textbook definitions. So when I took my marketing courses in college, they taught us about product, price, place, and promotion, the 4 Ps of marketing. Recent additions to that have been people and positioning and process and performance. I don't know how many Ps we need to get to a full definition of marketing, but evidently it was more than 4. But now there's been some updated terminology because customer really focusing on the person and what they need and want, the cost, convenience, and communication. This is all kind of dancing around the same thing, which is, so we'll, and then I want to give you one other way to think about this before I get to Brandy's definition. Another way to think about it, you can use the 5 W's and the 1 H of journalism, which is the who, the what, the when, the where, the why, and the how. So those are a couple ways, and everybody's brain is kind of a little bit different. So that's why I gave you the examples to start and the other kinds of definitions. Here's my definition. Marketing is connecting the dots between a problem your target audience has and a solution that you offer. In other words, if we want to package this up, it's the find the right place in the right time, tell the right message, and sell with the right ask. And the truth of the matter is, good marketing is hard. It's hard. The concept is straightforward and relatively simple. Like, we get it. You got to find the people that need the thing you have and tell them about it. Okay, but the execution is nuanced, iterative, and can be complex. Plus, and this is, I think, the biggest challenge with running your own business and doing your own marketing, is that the person creating the marketing, that's you or me, isn't the person buying the product or service. So we can have a lot of undetected ignorance and perspective challenges. So I've talked to many people who developed a product or service to meet a need they had, and then they built a business around it. They're like, but I am the person. I'm like, no, actually, a former version of you was the person who buys the product. You are now no longer that person. You fixed the problem. You created a product or a service. That's no longer you. It's the earlier version of yourself. So if you can tap into the earlier version of yourself, that might work. But you are not the market. Which brings me to the most dangerous word in all of marketing. Like is a 4-letter profanity in marketing. Nothing in marketing should be connected to a personal opinion. Business objectives are what the target audience desires are the only thing we care about. So the word like is a trap. It's a trap. If you are evaluating your marketing and like, do I like it? Do you like it? One of the most heart-wrenching things that I see happen is that somebody will have a new flyer or a new brochure or a new website, and they will post it on social media and ask everyone, do you like it? And I go, no, because our evaluation of marketing is, does it work? Does it meet the business objectives? Is it speaking to the audience? Is it connecting a problem that they have, that they have to know that they have, to a solution that we're offering? That is the only correct evaluation of marketing. Never, ever, 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 if you like it. Now, if you get it in front of your target audience, you can ask them, is it attractive? Do you feel compelled by it? Is it easy to use? We can ask specific information, specific questions to get to, is it working for them? But we still want to avoid the 4-letter word of like. All right, so I will get off my soapbox about liking. And I hope that I've maybe convinced you that when you evaluate a design, an ad, a social media post, a blog post, please be very aware of using that 4-letter word and instead replace it with something more useful, as, does this answer their question? Does it solve their problem? Does it make them more aware of my solution? Business objectives and what the audience needs is always how we want to evaluate marketing. Okay, next, we're going to get into the how to market. So hopefully this will bring you some more knowledge so that you can feel more confident in your marketing. And I haven't forgot about the time thing either. So this is an overview of a process that I did come up with, kind of putting together all of the things that we do for clients that I've known that clients needed that will work, and that idea of iteration. So we're going to talk about these things, and then we're going to go through each part and discuss. So In the hierarchy of marketing, what I see people do is find a tactic and just start doing stuff. So social media is easy to pick on because that's where people get they should all over themselves all the time. Oh, there's this new thing, be it TikTok or even Reels or, well, it could be anything. There's this new thing. We should try it. I am very much an advocate of trying it, but you do first need to have an evaluation of, does it make sense? And that's the building block of strategy. Strategy is where we get really clear about our audience. The reason for this is so that we don't mistake ourselves for the audience, and so that we can get into their head, which is where we need to speak from when we are trying to connect what they think they need with what we have to offer. Our offering, this seems pretty basic, but actually, what happens when we are running our business is that there's a lot of iterations, a lot of changes, a lot of trying things and learning and then getting to a package. And we don't always take a moment and step back and go, wait, what are we actually offering? What problem are we really solving for them? Because I'm just going to take pet sitting, for example. Yes, we offer pet sitting, but the problem we actually solve is making sure your pet doesn't destroy your home while you're gone, or making it easy for you to take a vacation, or giving you peace of mind when you have to be away from your home. So the problem isn't I need a pet sitter. The problem is I need to leave my house and somebody needs to stay with my pet. So getting clear about our offering, positioning and messaging. Again, these are pillars of how we implement. So if we decided, yes, we want to try TikTok, what kind of content are we going to put on there? What should we say? This is where strategy needs to come into play. This is why strategy is so important as the first thing to do with marketing, is when we have our positioning and our messaging down, then it's very easy to pull from those when we have a tactic we want to execute. Prioritized channels. So a marketing channel is any place we're going to speak to our audience. So that can be direct mail. It can be in person. If you have a retail store or a storefront, one of your channels is people coming into your storefront. There are social media, there's certainly paid ads, website is one of those channels, video marketing. So there's a channel is any place in which we are speaking to our audience. Prioritized means that we think about what is the best place to speak to our audience or the highest value place to speak to our audience. Highly overlooked channels are referrals and strategic partners. They just don't make the front page like social media does. But thinking about where are the places we talk to our people and what are our highest value ones so that we can prioritize those, which helps when it comes to the time piece. Because when we do have a moment to think about marketing or execute marketing in our business, if we've got like 16 places we are trying to put a message, it's never going to get done. It's going to be overwhelming. But if we prioritize that we know our most effective channel and we can spend time and energy there, that will then build our business, gives us more resources to then execute on other channels. So I would say you can spin a lot of plates. You can keep a lot of plates spinning. You cannot start them all at one time. So prioritize channel. Visual and verbal brand, which is when we talk about brand, many people are like logo, maybe colors and fonts. Yes, your visual brand is important, but also your verbal brand. What are the words that we're using consistently? What are the stories? What are the pieces and parts that we can use? So visual and verbal brand. Plan. So we start with strategy. Then from the strategy, we can build a plan for a specific campaign, which includes goals, timeframes, which channels will be involved, activities, milestones, and metrics. Then we implement. Now you'll notice that we had to do strategy and then planning, and then we go do stuff. Because by this time we can actually say, okay, these are the steps or phases. We can have a prioritized list of tasks with timeframes and owners, which means when we do get the time to implement, we know exactly what needs to happen and can execute. And then the one everyone skips is evaluation. If we're experimenting, this is a critical step. It is the one that's second in importance to strategy. Is, did it even work? What didn't work? What did we learn? And what do we do differently? Okay, so I did kind of go into each of these, but let's jump into strategy. Strategy is a clear roadmap. It's our guiding principles that define our actions to take or not take, and the things to prioritize or not prioritize to achieve desired goals. A clear strategy is how we know what to say no to so that we can say yes to the right things. It contains our building blocks for creating and implementing marketing plans and campaigns. So good strategy provides these principles. Why did we do this? I'm hoping it's becoming clear, but it keeps everyone on course. And when a decision needs to be made or the next version defined, we come back to the strategy for clarity. It is our big blueprint. It's how we know that we're on track for doing what we intended to do. Second, a plan. So our plan is a set of actions. So it can be called a campaign, but it includes objectives, activities, timeframes, milestones, and metrics. So let's, just for funsies, take our imaginary pet sitting business. And this pet sitting business is in a very urban area. Well, let's call it like, it's in a highly mobile area of New Jersey. So they're sort of right outside Manhattan. There's people coming and going, they've lived there, but they move a lot. So we have this pet sitting business and it's a younger crowd. And we think we want to try TikTok. So we're going to make a plan for TikTok. So what our objective here is to book, I'm just going to make stuff up here, book 4 more walks a week in our target geography through TikTok. And the activities we need is we need, what do I want to say, like 3 times a week posts. And those posts need to be engaging and funny. They're videos and also have a call to action. Time frames. Okay, we know when, how long are we going to run this experiment? Okay, we're going to do it for 4 weeks. What are the milestones? How do we know if we're on track? Okay, well, we're looking to grow our audience by 200 people a week, and we want at least 10 click-throughs to the website per week. And then metrics. Okay, did we meet our audience goals? So we have audience goals for milestones. And then what else? Are our videos, how many watches are our videos getting? How many clicks are we getting total? What other metrics are we looking for? So that defines our campaign. So we have enough information to keep it running. That's a plan. Implementation. This is the work. This is the steps, actions, and tasks needed to execute that plan or campaign. So why? Well, the most effective implementation follows the plan and has these defined steps and actions in a specific order, usually, for the highest probability of success. If we don't lay out a plan and then follow the plan for implementation, steps get missed. We might overlook something important. And we don't always know what to do when we have time to sit down and implement marketing. And evaluation. Did it work? Assessment of the performance and the marketing plan or campaign, and the opportunity to incorporate those learnings into the strategy and the next iteration of the plan. So this is such a critical step. And this is where we can really get value from the investment. Oh, yay, we have a question. How do you find your audience? Okay, awesome. So I'm actually going to stop. We're doing okay on time. And the next thing here is some next steps for you. So I'm going to stop my screen share for a second. And I want to talk about this question about how do you find your audience? Anyone else have this question? You can just pop a yes or a thumbs up in the chat. Also, while I'm answering this question, feel free to, yep, okay, good. Oh, excellent, yay. Okay, I'm so glad you asked this because it is the most critical thing. You can't do anything in marketing without knowing who your audience is. So we first, and it's not easy, but it's worth it. So how do you find your audience? First, you have to think about what you're offering. If you have, I'll give you a couple ways to go about doing this. If you already have clients, if you've already had customers or clients, sometimes the easiest way to define your audience is to think about people who've already used your service or bought your product. At one point in my business, it was probably 3 years in, I put each of my clients' name on a sticky note. And then I had 4 kitchen cabinets. And I decided the one to the farthest left was, if I could clone these clients, I would be so happy. Like these are my people. I love working with them. They love working with us. So that was the first cabinet to the left. The second cabinet was like, they're pretty good. They're not perfect. Like I wouldn't want to clone them, but they're pretty good. And then the third cabinet was meh, they're okay. Like not great, but okay. And then the last cabinet was basically like, I should have fired this client. So I took all the sticky notes and I put them on the various cabinets. And then I looked at the one to the furthest left and I looked for commonalities. What kind of businesses did these people have? Who were they? What size were their business? What revenue were they at? I looked for all the demographics as well as the psychographics to try to narrow my, like, who actually am I offering? Who actually loves what I have to offer? So that's, if you already have clients, already have customers, that's kind of one way to approach it, because then you can narrow your focus in to the people who are finding the most value from your service and that you love working with. On a broader scale, maybe you're just starting, or maybe you don't have enough customers to do that with, thinking very specifically about what problem you're solving and who you're solving that problem for. I'll give you an example from a guy, his name's Ramit Sethi. He wrote several books. This was an example from one of his blogs or his books, was that there was a music teacher, a violin teacher, a teacher who gives violin lessons. Okay, in her case, who is the consumer of her service? Well, it's her students. They typically are children. All right, but who is her real audience? Is it the people who are sitting in her home taking the violin lessons? No, it's not. It's their parents. Okay, so the person who uses the service might be different from the person who pays for the service. So thinking through, okay, so she thought, all right, well, these children are coming and the parents. Then she thought about who valued her service the most. Well, it happened to be children who had Asian mothers. Asian mothers were fastidious about making sure their child was at lessons, that the child was prepared, and they valued what she had. They were willing to pay much more for the lessons because they valued it for their children. So she thought through not just what she was offering, but who valued it the most. And then she targeted her marketing towards that audience. So sometimes you have to put, and sometimes you'll have multiple audiences. If you're selling into corporate, this can be harder nut to crack, because sometimes the person who needs your service, let's say you're selling recruiting. Is this going to be a good example? Let's find out. Let's say you're a recruiter. You're a contract recruiter. So HR is who absolutely desperately needs your services. But maybe HR doesn't have the purse strings. They don't own the budget. There's somebody else, like either it's the director of ops or something else that has to approve the thing. So when you're marketing, you have to think about both the person using your service and the person who is paying for your service. So that's a long way around to, it takes some critical thinking. If you already have clients, use them as sort of your test bed of who it is. The more narrow you can be about an audience, the easier it is to market to them. Because once we know who we're talking to, we can figure out where they're hanging out. And I once had an esthetician tell me that her clients were anyone with skin. and I asked her if she had the Procter & Gamble marketing budget. She did not. And so the other benefit of getting really clear who your audience is, and you don't have to nail this the first time. Maybe you're like, okay, I'm back to the esthetician. Maybe it's women in their 30s. Okay, what else about them? Oh, they're career professionals and they're spending a lot of time on Zoom and they care about how their skin works. Okay, what else about them? Well, even if I can get to women in their 30s who are career professionals, I can begin to go, okay, well, they're probably spending some time on LinkedIn. Where else are they getting their information? The other piece here, and then I promise I'll close this piece out, is you can ask them. You can do what we call customer development interviews. So you go in with your hypothesis. You think about, okay, well, it seems like career professionals, it seems like ladies who are working in HR seem to be the ones so we could find a couple of these people, even if they're current clients, and talk to them, ask them where they hang out, where they get their information, what was the greatest benefit they got from your service. Because when we market, the best messaging is not fancy. It is the words that our prospective clients are using themselves to describe their problem. Okay, so I hope that answered your question. I'm going to go back to your slides and finish this out. Okay, next. Time to go to work. So I want you to think about what are your key takeaways today? We talked about our core concepts. We talked about what is marketing and defining it for yourselves. We talked about the how to market framework and each piece of that framework. What are your key takeaways? What's at the top of your list? It'd be fantastic if you learned a bunch of stuff, but just the top one or two things. If you've got notes, circle those, make a note, highlight it for yourself. One or two key takeaways. If you want to share them, great, but mostly I'm just concerned about the fact that you get them solidified for yourself. Next, what are you going to do now? Okay, so you've got a little bit more knowledge. We've talked about some strategies on time. What are your next steps? Let's talk a little bit more while you guys think about that and think about your key takeaways. Let's talk a little bit more about next steps and time. So the working in your business and working on your business is a struggle every single business owner has. There's always things to be done in the business, customers to be served, things to follow up on. But if we don't carve out intentional and specific time to work on the business, which includes marketing, then it never gets done. So you can start as simple as just putting an hour a week on your calendar or 2 hours a week on your calendar that become non-negotiable time for you to think about and implement your marketing. Donnell, yes, the slideshow will be available for you. They'll have a link for it, and there will be the recording. So your next steps could be putting that hour or two on your calendar, repeating weekly, I recommend. Your next steps could be identifying a couple of your existing customers and scheduling a 10-minute interview with them to find out what they love about your service, where they heard about you, or even like where they hang out and get their information. Next step could be getting clear on your strategy. Who is your audience? What is your offering? So key takeaways, next steps. And you did it. You have more knowledge. You have a couple ways you can carve out some more time or make your time more effective when it comes to marketing. And I hope a little bit more clarity and those core concepts that you can come back to and revisit to keep you on track for marketing your business.
Excellent. Thank you, Brandy. So we got a few minutes left. If you have any questions, please post them in the Q&A for Brandy. But we also have no problem giving you a few minutes back to your day. No, excuse me. But great presentation, great way of going through and the different categories. And I like what you said. There's when you're thinking of your target audience with your product, it is the best practice to go and interview 5, 10 people and ask them about, hey, what do you think about this? Would you buy it? Would you not? It's the best way to reach you, so forth. And a lot of people are open to doing those quick informational interviews.
Yes, very, especially if you can help, if you can say, hey, I'm looking for 10 minutes of your time. Now be a person of your word. If you're asking for 10 minutes, give 10 minutes, have a couple specific questions. And I encourage you to either record it or take verbatim notes, because I'm guilty of listening to someone tell me something and then doing the translation in my head about what they said. But the most valuable thing you can get out of those conversations is the actual words they're using. They're gold.
Excellent. Thank you. Well, I don't see any new questions in there and none in the chat. So with that, I want to thank you again, Brandy. We will go ahead and wrap up and give everybody some time back in their day. Again, this is being recorded, so it will be posted on our website in the content library later this afternoon or tomorrow. But we do have a question in there in the chat.
Yeah, so Sarah says she's been using social media, but her demographic is women over 40. And yeah, they're probably not super active on social, but it also depends on what you're offering them and where they're going to be looking for them. So this is a perfect time to go talk to some of your existing, even prospects. Like maybe you don't have lots of clients you want to have more of, but there's people that you maybe talk to people that are your prospective clients. Do not elicit information from people who are not your prospective clients. Find out when they're considering, I'm going to make stuff up again because I don't know what business you're in. When they're considering a new hairstylist, or when they're considering services for their business, where are they going for that information? What resources are they tapping? So I think sometimes we're surprised to learn about where they're going, but then that is exactly what we need to know so that we can go hang out in those places.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yes.
And with that, great way to wrap up. We will wrap up this day and close out this webinar. Thank you for joining us. We hope to see you next Tuesday for another boot camp session. And again, thank you, Brandy, and we'll talk to everybody soon. Have a great week.